I'm Janet Clark, and this is The Freedom Shift. Hello, it is Janet Clark here, your host for The Freedom Shift podcast. And today I'm going to share a simple path to cash for coaches and consultants who want to scale up into the mid to six figures and maybe even up into seven figures. Now, I want to share this with you today because it's something that I've learned that has had a dramatic impact on my results. And it's counterintuitive in a way to what a lot of the gurus would be teaching. So it's really about simplicity. And we're bombarded constantly with all of this talk about setting up these complicated funnels and using our technology. So this is going to be a two-part episode. This week, I'm going to be sharing with you the simple shifts that you will be making in your strategy and in your mindset, the way that you think about your offers and your program. And then next week, I'm going to dive into how you can use LinkedIn once you've made these shifts. So let's talk today about the 5 freedom shifts that you should be thinking about making so that you can simplify your business, which ultimately is going to help you to create more cash flow. And of course, the added benefit to doing this is that you're going to be able to position yourself and your offer in a way that is immensely scalable. And what that means is that at some point in the near future, within probably 60 to 90 days, you'll be ready to bring on a salesperson, somebody else who can take over the marketing and the sales that you put into place so that you can now focus on fulfillment and get yourself out of the day-to-day marketing and sales aspect of your business. Because I know that that is the way you scale, right? You have to be able to start bringing team members on. All of these high-level coaches and consultants out there who are generating 7 figures, 8 figures in their business, they're not doing their own sales. So at some point, if you really want to scale, you're going to need to get yourself out of it as well. So, yesterday I had a conversation with somebody and he was telling me that the reason that he can't scale and bring on a sales team is because every time he speaks with a client, he has to create a customized offer or a customized solution. Now, if you're doing that, you are never going to be able to scale your business. You are literally shooting yourself in the foot. So as a coach or a consultant, you have to have your own signature system. You have to establish yourself as a preeminent authority in some area. Otherwise, you're just going to be another coach or another consultant who literally is just working for someone else. Your offer is really non-existent. You're just going to do whatever they tell you to do, right? So you become another commodity. You're going to get lost in the crowd. So every single 7-figure coach has their own unique selling proposition, sometimes referred to as the USP, or some sort of a signature program, or their own point of view, the way that they approach solving the problem, POV, point of view. So let's dive in for how you can do this for yourself. And it starts with making these 5 freedom shifts. So freedom shift number 1 is to become extremely clear on who is your ideal client. Many coaches and consultants, they start out way too broad and they say things like, well, I can help anyone who, and then you name it, right? They're literally anybody who has a pulse and will pay me money, right? But that doesn't really endear you to anybody and it doesn't set you apart as a preeminent authority. So very often you may be thinking, well, geez, if I narrow down my niche, that's going to eliminate some potential clients for me. And it may appear to be true on the surface, but in fact, it will hurt you in the long run. So I am sure if you've been doing this for any length of time, like I have, that you have worked with some of the wrong clients. And you know that it is a painful experience. It's painful for you, and it's also painful for your client. So you know that there is somebody who is your ideal client, somebody who, if you're working with that person, you're in the flow, they're in the flow, everybody is feeling good, and everybody's getting the results. You're getting a result because your client is succeeding. And of course, they're getting a result because they're succeeding. So you know who that is. It's the first person that comes to your mind. It's that ideal client that you've already worked with. What are those characteristics? Like, what is the demographic of that person? What does that avatar look like? When you can figure that out, your business is going to be exponentially more successful, and you're going to enjoy it a lot more. So I'm going to explain to you the 5 criteria that I use to identify my ideal client. And most of you know I have a program called Sales Map, which is a program that I offer in conjunction with my marketing partner, Tobin Slavin. And we've identified who is our ideal client. Who are we absolutely going to be able to help to generate cash in this 60-day offer that we have, the Sales Map Sprint. Okay, so here it is. Number 1, the person must be a decision maker or an owner in their business. Number 2, they must be a coach, a consultant, or an agency owner who is an expert advisor. So number 3, they must offer a transformational program or service, not a commodity. Number 4, they must have an existing high ticket offer that's $5,000 or more, or at least be willing to create one based on offers that they've had in the past. So something that they know they can deliver. We do not work with newbies. And number 5, they must be an expert-based business, actively engaged and posting on social media. So because we use social media, primarily LinkedIn, as the way that we generate our conversations and enroll high-paying clients, if our prospect is not on social media, it's not going to work. So that's our criteria. So when you think about what would it look like for you if you were to identify those 5 characteristics of your ideal client, that's going to be very, very helpful for you. Okay. The second freedom shift is sell transformation, not information. Now, many, many times coaches and consultants make the mistake of creating a program that is based on a theory or a process, sometimes something that they've learned in some sort of a coaching certification program. And they want people to buy into their process, but that is not what people buy. Look, if people want information, they can buy a course. And they can learn all of the steps and they can learn the process. But most people, at least the ones that are buying high ticket programs, they are looking for transformation. And when they're looking for transformation, they're going to be looking for somebody who can deliver that result to them, a coach or a consultant. So if you want to know the best way to attract your ideal client who is looking for transformation, it is to actually model the transformation that you offer. So in other words, walk your talk. I can't tell you how often I talk to somebody who has this great offer that they're going to go out and they're going to help somebody to generate leads for their business, but that model isn't even working for them. They're not using it themselves in their business. So how the heck are they going to do it for someone else when they're not even doing it for themselves? Because they're teaching a process, not offering transformation. So in order to be able to offer transformation, you literally have to be living it. You have to have done it yourself. And so, when Tobin and I got together and we decided that we were going to combine our programs, he was already successfully offering his program, Conversations at Scale. I was already offering my program, the High Ticket Sales Alliance. And we started to work together. So I literally hired him to help me generate the leads that I wanted to connect with on LinkedIn. And because it was working for us, this combining the lead generation and then my selling process, we recognized that, oh, this is something that works. So why not create it into a program that we can then offer into the marketplace? So in other words, we are just offering something that we're already doing and we already know it works. When you do that, when you simplify your offer down to that one thing that you are already doing yourself, your credibility is going to skyrocket. And you will attract your ideal clients because they're going to see you doing it and they're going to say, I want what she has, or I want what he has. Okay. So number 3, Freedom Shift, is to create an irresistible offer. Now, I hate to be the one to break this to you, but people are not buying your process. They are buying the result that you're offering for them. Your prospects are struggling with a problem and they need a solution. They don't need 10 coaching sessions and 50 hours of video and thousands of templates. These things may help you to deliver that transformation, but that's not what the clients are buying. So I've just seen it too often where coaches and consultants are selling their process and they're not really understanding what the prospect wants as a result of it. So somebody's saying, I'm going to help you rank your videos high on YouTube and you're going to generate, a whole bunch of inquiries and leads, or you're going to be ranked high. Well, that isn't really what people want. They want clients. They want revenue. So you have to be able to show how you are actually going to get them that result that they want and be walking that talk, not the interim process and step. Well, I'm going to use SEO to get your videos ranked and all of that. Okay, nobody cares about that. They want to know what the result is going to be. So you have to make your offer irresistible to them by speaking in their language. Now, if you are out there and you're talking too much when you're on a sales call and you find yourself trying to describe what you do to people and then they do a disappearing act on you, or you're finding out that you talk and talk and talk and then people say they want to think about it, stop that. That is not going to work for you. So the key to attracting your ideal clients is to, number 1, be interested in them, understanding what they want, and then explaining your offer in a way that answers exactly what they want. So in our sales map 60-day sprint, we offer a minimum, we guarantee a 2x return on investment. And that will be from a new revenue source, which we use LinkedIn for that. So if you knew that you could generate 15K or more from a brand new revenue source, would that be an irresistible offer to you? If you knew you could do that in 60 days? So the answer for most people who are not generating revenue from LinkedIn is yes, right? Because you may have other ways that money is coming in, but we know we have to have multiple streams. So that's really important. And if you knew that you could commit just 1 hour a day to actually building that engine, knowing that if you created it, you would then be able to bring in a sales team who could continue to run that for you, which would ultimately free you from having to do the process yourself, would that be an irresistible aspect to the offer? So when you can create something that's literally a no-brainer for your clients to say yes to, then you have an irresistible offer that will practically sell itself. And then we move into freedom shift number 4, which is that you have to stop focusing on closing and start focusing on conversations. Now, look, it is true. I am a high ticket salesperson. and I have closed millions of dollars in high ticket programs. So why am I telling you to stop focusing on closing? Because I am a big believer that you shouldn't be talking to prospects who aren't ready to buy. And, there's nothing worse than trying to close somebody on a sale. It just feels slimy and salesy and totally obnoxious because, if you ever been on a sales call with someone who's like literally reading you a script, doesn't that feel like creepy? Or when they're using these pre-canned phrases that they learned and they're part of their script, it's just, it has an ick factor to it, right? So I consider that like the 3S model of sales, which I mentioned earlier, which is if you use scripts, scarcity, and shame. That is just yucky. So there's no need to, have these sleazy manipulation tactics when you're a coach or a consultant, because the best salespeople know that it is relationship building and trust that are really the keys to massive growth in your business. So don't skip this step and then wonder, like, why can't I enroll clients? The focus on closing is ridiculous. It is, if you have no relationship and you have no trust and no connection with people, I can guarantee you that you are not going to close those sales. And even if you do come up with some kind of a little sleazy way of doing it, you'll end up with refunds. You'll end up with clients that don't get good results. You'll end up just like with the wrong people, because who would really get a good result if they were joining your program for the wrong reason, right? So remember that when you're dealing with people in the, that you're selling to, it's one of three classifications, right? You're either selling B2C, which is the business to consumer. And if you're doing that, you're probably not going to be using LinkedIn. So you wouldn't be somebody that I could probably help that much, because that's not really my area of expertise. If you're selling health coaching to the masses of people, unless your client is somewhat oriented toward professionalism and on LinkedIn, and you can target them there, it would be hard for me to be able to advise you on this. So the other is B2B. The thing about B2B is when you're selling into a business, but the person making the decision is making a decision to spend the corporate money, that is a different sale altogether than my sweet spot, which I call B2E. And I think most of you coaches and consultants who follow me understand this. B2E is when your target client is an entrepreneur or, maybe an executive, but that person is spending their own money. They're investing their own money in their own transformation. And that is a totally different conversation that you're having with somebody who is willing to trade their time and their money for transformation and trust you to help them to walk through that. So when you sell to that B2E market, that person, that entrepreneur who's spending their own money, or that executive, you are offering them a way for them to get a transformation that's really important to them. And the way that you really have to connect with them is what I call heart flow. You have to connect with them from the heart. You have to find out like what's really important to them and what's driving them to want this transformation. How badly do they want it? And what are they willing to part with in terms of money and time in order to actually see that dream come into reality? So we use what we call the 5 C's model to connect with people and convert them. And so the first is compliments. So everybody wants to be complimented. They want somebody to recognize where they shine. That is the best way to endear yourself to somebody in the beginning stages, right? The next is to strike up a conversation with them. So you make a connection and you build some rapport with them. And that is not a conversation about you. It's a conversation about them. The third thing is for you to exude confidence in your ability to help them get the results that they desire. And if they don't have all that confidence right away, which a lot of times on a sales call, you find out that people don't, they have a dream, but they're just not that confident that they're going to be able to get there. And so you let them borrow your confidence. And that's part of the selling process. The fourth thing is curiosity. And that's being very interested and willing to ask the deep questions so that you can uncover what is their passion? What is their purpose? What are their dreams? Things that most salespeople don't really dig into. They're more interested in trying to manipulate the call than they are into really engaging and connecting and getting curious about what is it that this person really does want. And finally is conviction. You have to have absolute 100% conviction that the program that you're offering this person is actually going to provide them with the result that they are looking for. They have to know that you are going to, without a shadow of a doubt, have their back. And that it isn't about you making a sale, it's about you getting them a result or helping them get the result. Okay. And finally, the fifth freedom shift is teach to sell. Have you ever heard that saying that people love to buy, but they hate to be sold? Or maybe it goes the other way around. I don't know. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. I found that the best way to sell something is to teach. And for those of you who listen to my podcast about the HeartFlow sales conversation, HeartFlow is an acronym, and each one of the letters stands for a sort of the flow of the conversation. You can go back and listen to one of the earlier episodes. You can go to the freedomshift.com/podcast, and you'll find that if you are interested, listen to that episode about HeartFlow. But here's the thing, the T, which is really the middle step in HeartFlow, stands for teach. And, you know, when you give somebody an aha moment, when they learn something that shifts the way that they think, they are going to look up to you as a teacher, an expert, and a mentor. And humans are hardwired by nature to love learning. And there are things that you know as a coach or a consultant that you take for granted, but your prospect doesn't know those things. And when you share your expertise with them freely and you share your knowledge with them, they're going to want more. They're going to look up to you and they're going to want you to mentor them and teach them more because they're going to recognize you as an expert. So there are things that you can do, which is like truly a giving, teaching moment, right? You can share something like I created a report that literally gives away my entire process for how to approach LinkedIn and how to generate high-paying clients. Now, many people could take that report and they could do it themselves because I gave them the entire process in there. But for most people, they come to this realization when they read something like that they need help to implement it. So if you think about what happens in the process of learning. And early in my career, I learned this evolution of the learning process. And there's 4 stages to it. And the first stage is the unconscious incompetent, right? This is where we don't even know what we don't know. And at that point, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So if you're trying to talk somebody into why your offer is good for them and you're talking them into having a need for what you do, forget it. because they don't even know that they could want it, right? They are not at the point yet where it's even on their radar screen. They're an unconscious incompetent. They don't know what they don't know. Okay, the next stage, though, is when somebody becomes a conscious incompetent. This is the person you want to be talking to. This is the person who figures out that there is a whole bunch of things that they need to learn in order to get to the next level. And they recognize that they need help to get there. They're ready to learn. They're open. Their minds are open. These are the people who you want to be talking to. So when you offer this training up to people or this information that you're teaching them, and they recognize, whoa, there's a lot to this. There's a lot more to this than I can probably learn just by reading this information or taking a do-it-yourself course. I need a guide, a mentor, a teacher, somebody to help me through this process. That's when you want to be talking to somebody, right? And what happens is once they start working with you, they become a conscious competent. You're teaching them how to do the steps, and they are working through those steps consciously so that they will be able to, like in our case with Sales Map, showing people step by step by step how to generate these high-paying clients from LinkedIn. And as they are doing this, they are very consciously working at it until it becomes second nature to them, which is where most of us are in our own area of expertise. We are unconscious competence. We just know how to do it. And sometimes we think other people know a lot more than they do. So it's really, really important to remember that to be a really good coach, to really be able to sell your programs, you have to be able to have a teaching moment with people. And when you do that, you are literally going to be attracting those people who are perfect for you. So I don't want to go into a lot more detail because I've been going for a while here, and I'm going to be jumping into in our next episode how you, once you have your irresistible offer, once you are literally walking your talk out there, you're ready to teach somebody something, and you are targeting, you know who your ideal client is. Now I'm going to teach you in our next episode how to go onto LinkedIn and how to start having conversations with these people, how to actually implement the processes. There's 7 steps to start generating business for yourself and getting the sales engine built so that you can then bring a salesperson on into that. So I'm going to tell you, Tobin and I have invested, and we continue to invest in our mentors to accelerate our learning and ultimately to help us reach higher levels. And it's made all the difference in the world for us, really, and it will for you too. So if you start focusing on what you need next in your business, you start focusing on where you want to put your energy. And if it is LinkedIn, tune into the next episode because you're going to learn a lot about that. And of course, if you ever want our help, you can always reach out to me and let's have a conversation about that. And I mentioned that report. And again, if you private message me, just, go on Facebook and connect with me, or you send me an email at janet@thefreedomshift.com. I'm happy to send you the report. People love it, and it's one of my great works, I think. I'm pretty proud of it. So I'm happy to send it to you. All right, until next week, thanks for tuning in to the Freedom Shift podcast, and I will be back with you before you know it. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Freedom Shift podcast. If you want more great information about increasing your sales, visit our website, www.thefreedomshift.com/podcast.